Welcome to Columbus News Channel. Simultaneous operations were launched on the eastern and southern fronts. Flames rose from Russian military points. Operations to retake Crimea are about to begin. Rose explosions echoed in the region. It was reported that an attack was carried out with unmanned aerial vehicles against Russian military points at night. As a result of the operations carried out in important regions, the Russian army suffers serious losses with the explosions. United Arab Emirates and Finland announced their new support package for Ukraine. NATO strikes again. Remarkable measures have begun to be increased in border regions. By deploying warplanes to the Russian border, Poland caused concern in Moscow. If operations begin on the Russian-Belarusian border, the war will turn into something else. While Ukraine's support increased, Russia began to worry. It is known that in the last days of the war, Belarus and Russia started joint military preparations. However, these moves and preparations made by Russia on the border with Belarus mobilized NATO countries. Ukraine has started to take various measures on the Belarusian border in the past weeks and has built a wall on the border. As it is known, Belarus allows Russian soldiers to use its territory to carry out attacks, even though it claims not to be involved in the war. Moreover, since the infrastructures are targeted in these attacks, the reactions towards Ukraine and Belarus from many countries are increasing. Especially since it is located in the north of Ukraine, attacks against the capital Kiev and its surroundings can be carried out through this country. Moreover, Russia's military shipments to Belarus continue. Then NATO took action. According to breaking news, Poland has deployed 22 warplanes to the Russian border. NATO countries, which have deployed their military equipment to areas close to the border with Russia and Belarus, are increasing their security measures towards border countries. This time, Poland transferred 22 warplanes to Malbork Air Base, which is about 60 kilometers from the Russian border. Polish Air Force Command announced that it has decided to transfer 22 fighter jets, which are stated to belong to the National Air Force. According to the statements, 22 MiG-29 fighter jets belonging to the Polish Air Force were transferred from Minsk Mazowiecki Air Base to Malbork Air Base. According to experts, Poland can modernize these warplanes to send them to Ukraine. If this happens, it is estimated that other warplanes can be purchased from the United States and South Korea. Also, according to another estimation, NATO countries may be taking precautions against the possibility of Russia and Belarus launching any combined operation. Because many countries have made statements in the direction of warnings against Russia and Belarus before. If the scope of the war expands in the operations in the later days of the war, Russia may have to face its loneliness. Because it is known that he was subject to a lot of sanctions because he started the war and carried out attacks on infrastructures and broke his relations with many countries. This situation makes us think that there may be serious deficiencies and disadvantages in case of a possible expansion of the scope. Ukraine, on the other hand, has the support of many powerful countries since the beginning of the war. For these reasons, the course of the war now depends on the moves of many countries. On the other hand, tensions rose in Crimea. As it is known, the Ukrainian armed forces achieved significant success in the south, and as a result of the operations, they took back many areas on the Crimean border. Once these critical areas were recaptured, Crimea began to fall within the range of Ukrainian missile systems. Thereupon, news of explosions started to be reported every day at Russian military posts in Crimea. Then, the Russian soldiers took various precautions in this region and started to create defense lines. Ukrainian troops, on the other hand, started research by collecting information on the characteristics and positions of the Russian military equipment deployed in the region. After these investigations, it was predicted that attacks against Crimea could also be launched. Various attacks have been carried out against this region before. This time, strong explosions were reported in the Nizhnegorsky district of Crimea. It was claimed that unmanned aerial vehicles attacked Russian military points. It was stated that this region, located on the eastern side of Crimea, was attacked at night and explosions occurred. It was also reported that drones and gunfire were heard in the area. Then it was stated that the air defense systems were activated. It is not known how the drones reached the east of the region. According to estimates, it may have been carried out from the Donetsk region or over the sea. These attacks are thought to have targeted a railway junction or fuel depot. However, it is known that the Ukrainian army is advancing with strategic targets in its attacks. These strategic moves are also aimed at Russia's military resources or logistics points. Thus, Russia's military shipment flow is interrupted and its available resources are reduced. Therefore, it is estimated that this attack was carried out against the railway junction in the region. Previously, such logistics points used by Russian soldiers were targeted. It is known that Russian soldiers provide military logistics flow to the front in Ukraine, mostly by rail. For these reasons, the railway junction on the Eastern Front was also hit many times. With these moves, the shipment flow of Russian soldiers on critical fronts is also interrupted. In fact, it is known that important logistics points such as the Kerch Bridge were hit before in Crimea. If the supply flow in Crimea is interrupted, it will be much more difficult to provide military shipments to this important region. It is known that the road bridge has already been damaged. If the Ukrainian armed forces start an operation in this region, the defense and attack forces will weaken as the Russian soldiers cannot provide logistics flow. In this case, the available military resources may be insufficient against the operations of the Ukrainian army. In addition, it is estimated that operations against the region can be started in every sense. Because, in the statements made about Crimea before, many high-level officials, especially the Ukrainian leader, made promises to take the region back. Russia, which is aware of this, is starting to worry more and more. In addition, these developments in the south also make us wonder about the forward moves. It is also reported that Russia has started new attacks in the Kherson region, which the Ukrainian armed forces took back in the past weeks. Since this region in the south is bordered by Crimea, conflicts increase and struggles continue. It was also stated that Russia targeted infrastructures with these attacks. Although attacks against these infrastructures do not reach their goal, they continue. However, this situation causes Russia to lose a lot of losses. Russia, which had to withdraw as a result of losses in this region, nevertheless continues its offensive efforts, proving the importance of the region. Because, as Moscow is aware, as long as the Ukrainian armed forces are deployed in this region bordering Crimea, they can increase their moves towards this key region. This leads to an increase in mutual conflicts and operations in order to take the region back. However, as Russia loses on the fronts and cannot compensate for them, it will be more difficult and will be insufficient in its operations. On the other hand, aid to Ukraine continues to increase. This time, Finland sent a new military aid package for Ukraine. Previously, it provided 20 trainers as a contribution to the training of Ukrainian soldiers. Now he has announced that the Ukrainian army will support the training that will take place in the UK next year. It also announced that it will provide the 11th military support package for Kiev, which is close to €29 million. United Arab Emirates, on the other hand, announced that it will send 2,500 generators to the country for energy infrastructures damaged by Russia's attacks on infrastructures. Such military and financial support will be even more critical for countries in the long run. If Russia gets more sanctions and Ukraine gets more help, the war will progress completely in favor of Ukraine. If this is to be achieved and Ukraine is to gain an advantage in the war, the necessary support must be delivered quickly in times of need. We'll see what happens in the next few days. We have reached the end of another video. You can support us by liking the video. You can easily follow new videos by subscribing. I wish you all a war-free day. See you.